So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are gonna be getting into another PVZ, but this time it's gonna be pretty interesting because we haven't seen too much of our Protoss player here. It's gonna be Pobbes, and the thing about Pobbes is he's been a returning face, and it's great to see Pobbes back in action. This man has been someone really to keep an eye out for, and it's such a great return for him. But he has to duel against one of the more active Masters players in our bracket, and it is gonna be SiFu, who usually plays from another region. So it really goes to show that there's a lot of this experience right now on both sides, but some of it is more recent there on the side of SiFu versus a little bit more of that legacy stuff from Pobbes. It's gonna be interesting to see how this PVZ is gonna differ though from our last matchup, because we did see Bayagster there doing some mothership antics, and then we saw SiFu trying to go for the proxy hatchery, and in the end, when the dust settled, it was our Protoss player that moved on. But hey, we're just making a quick little shout out there though to our potential co-caster. Where are you, Mr. Extinct? I know you're playing too much Valorant right now, but if you'll make it here, like you said, it'll be great. It'll be great to have you on board. But for now, as we are going to be getting into our next match, we will of course be having a best of 3, and of course we do a best of 3 to give everyone a chance to still fight. Having a best of 3 means that there isn't that pressure to try and perform even on the first map. You can try and do something a little different. And in a case like this, well, it's pretty much the standard of StarCraft in general. But the first map into this matchup will be confirmed to be something that these guys know how to play pretty well. It's something that this has been part of the ladder for quite a while, and it will be Everdream LE. So here we are. Everdream LE gonna be next on the list. Wonder where Extinct is, guys. Wonder where is Extinct. But hey, the thing about the history of StarCraft 2, it's pretty rich. It's fun. It's funny because I'm learning about it along the way. And the thing about it is I wasn't part of the community till lately. And it feels like that there's just so much of this tight-knit group that you can see from the players who have stayed the time. And whenever someone comes back there, it's such a warm welcome, not only from them, but also the rest of the people. So really big kudos to our community. SCPH, it's a pretty small one, but at the same time, it's very passionate. And the thing about StarCraft is you only need one person to play, so it doesn't really matter, because we can have these great brackets moving forward. In any case, though, we'll get into our first match soon. Question is, though, who's sponsoring this tournament, guys? Please remind me who's sponsoring this one. Oh, there you go. Major sponsors do include Pure PC and Block 101. This is presented to you, of course, by Mizzle, Daks PH, as well as ISBuhay Productions. And don't forget that for our Girl to Diamond, we have a keyboard parts of that pricing. In the meantime, Masters Plus, we're gonna have the bigger pot prize. And in any case, though, it's high time to get into the game. PVZ yet again, and let's get into Everdream. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and here we are into our next map. This is Everdream LE, and we will see 2 of the best in this bracket looking to duel, looking to take on one another. And introducing first, here on the southwest side, he does go for the extractor trick right there. A little bit of minerals, something we've been seeing way too often in the Masters Plus bracket. But in any case, he is the mentor, he is the master, and his name is SiFu. SiFu, as we say, he plays from a different region, but he can bring in that experience going up the ladder against some of the likes of the best to really bring it here in the SEA side. If there are also any latency issues, then SiFu's just like, I can work with that. That's how it is. I'm participating in a local tournament, and at the very least, looking to represent the PH scene as much as possible. So big kudos to SiFu, one of my favorite players here into the bracket itself, especially since he just decides to go for it anyway. But his opponents, he has a lot to reprove, a lot of support behind him, and it's gonna be fun to see what this guy is all about. He is on that purple Protoss looking absolutely regal, and his name is Pobbes. Zip, let's go into this game, and here we are on Everdream LE. We are gonna see that second base being expanded though, and SiFu in the meantime, interesting enough, he is gonna go for his second base onto the third. This means that he's not anticipating any kind of aggression. He doesn't really need to defend per se. And this is actually a good launch point for SiFu to go for his own early aggro, to go for his own quick units, because this is a lot closer to his opponent than, well, the natural itself. This also means that he's gonna keep his bases separated for the time being So Pobbes will have to look around to see what's going on, and he might be able to play a quick little mind game since there is no base onto the natural itself, which might force Pobbes to go for the defenses a lot quicker than usual. In any case though, Pobbes cool, calm, and collected. 1 gate, 1 core setup, looking for that Nexus points. This is gonna be the Overlord, looking at the very least fly on around, circling. We'll keep an eye out though. We'll see how this one is gonna work out. In any case though, what's the plan here for Pobbes? Next is gonna be going online. We will see the Adept Chrono boosted out. So pretty standard fanfare so far. What have we seen though from SiFu into, well, his last round game? I'm trying to remember a little bit of those details. But in essence, he's just able to suddenly pull in some aggro, and every small mistake that you do is punished by SiFu. There was just a little bit of those timings against Geohead, was it? That he was able to eke something out. And it's ridiculous how much of an advantage he could make from a few seconds disparity. So in all honesty, Pobbes is on a pretty tough test. He has to be bringing his A game immediately into the bracket if he wants to survive into the upper side. But the probes have already gone down. Interesting enough that one Zergling being able to bring some DPS on, and the gateway looking to blockade a few things here and there. Shield battery in behind as well, in range of course for the battery overcharge. But for the time being, SiFu now is bringing in the army, and Pobbes is not ready for this whatsoever. He's going for a 6 count on the army. He's still trying to get at Warp Gate research, but this is SiFu this time looking to have more and more of those forces, because this was just Pobbes scouting out that third base a little too late, so he has to go for the desperation micro onto the macro. He has to put the buildings in the way. He has to make sure he will have some gateways online just to get those units at the very least. Adepto in behind. There we go now with the battle looking to connect onto the probe, and this is gonna burst down that wall. The gateway cannot be built, no cancel whatsoever, and Probe's gonna get pulled to try and build a bigger wall into this one. East side right now getting covered by pylons, but in the meantime, the one powering everything in the front will get shut down, and the Roaches and the Ravagers are tearing up house. This might be game unless Pobbes can do something from the main base, and this is his desperation heave. He's gonna try to bring in the probes instead. Here we go though with the pull. SiFu marching to the east side. Here we go though with the battery overcharge as well to keep things alive. And you can see that the shields here from these probes keeping on up with the pressure. But Pobbes has bought enough time. He gets a defensive Void Ray online. And this should be enough of a mop up here for our Protoss to survive. But at the very least, SiFu taking advantage and slowing down heavily any kind of tech progression Pobbes wants to do. Great call though from Pobbes, gets the Stargate just in time, and he realized that he needed something for the defensive there, went for the Void Ray instead of the Oracle or the Phoenix. So not great there from Pobbes, understanding exactly what to do, and this is going to be his high time to try and go for the harassment instead. SiFu now finally getting his third base onto the natural, so we can pretend that everything is on a standard 3 base setup instead. And finally, we will also get the follow-up Oracle to try and harass those mineral lines. But since we did see a Stargate unit come out, I wouldn't be surprised to see SiFu get his own Spore Crawler into this one. For the time being though, Pobbes is playing it smart, bursting down these Overlords as much as possible. And SiFu gonna be keeping an eye out as much as he can on the different angles that his Overlords are still safe in. Thing is, with the Void Ray hunting for Overlords, it's not as quick as the Phoenix itself. So for now, he's gonna go for the mineral lines, and this will force out the Spore Crawler response onto the natural. Next on this has to be main. The thing is though, since this is a Void Ray rather than the Oracle, these drones don't die as quick as you would expect. And Queens right now are marching forward to try and intercept. And behind all of this though, what's happening here for Pobbes? His Oracle is looking to anchor onto the third site, and in the meantime, we have Pobbes expanding to his own third base as well. Even though his build order has been hurt, he's looking to keep on up with what he can do. And Warp Gate's gonna be online here and now. Oracle though in position has gotten 5, they got 6. No, it doesn't get that kill in that time onto the Extractor drone. So it's 5 in a row there for Pobbes before the Oracle falls. In any case though, still with SiFu looking to keep that lead up. That initial attack, allow him to go for the drone. And this thing about SiFu is when he realizes that he can't go for the killing blow as quick as he would like, he reels it back, goes for the expansions instead, and he makes sure that he hurts it where it counts. He hurts his opponent where it really matters. And getting rid of the Cybercore Pylon there, slowing down that Warp Gate, really has hampered whatever Pobbes wanted to do with the aggression. He's forced to stay on Stargate units basically, to go for his own early aggro. And with another Oracle coming the way, all SiFu needs to do right now is make sure his Queen army is in position to intercept, and with the creep tumors being spread, this is such a good call here for SiFu, keeping the ground very, very mobile. Still though, Gateway is now next on the list here for Pobbes. And you know, it really feels like this man has a lot of greatness in behind him. It feels like there is a story waiting to be told though in 2020 Pobbes. Robo facility still gonna be into play, and from now on, it's time to stop walking to the ground. It's time for the Nidus Network instead. Looks to be an all-in though. These queens are gonna be getting in position, and SiFu with an overwhelming army count that can mobilize as quick as can be. Nidus Worm though gonna get popped out. Queens are gonna get funneled out first. And the confusion here, the Nidus Worm gonna be helpful, but the Queens deciding, hey, let's just fend it off instead with those needle spines. Stalker gonna get caught in transition. Here we go with Pobbes again, setting up that wall, but it's gonna be a little too late onto the north side. SiFu right now, bringing in the pain. Looking to do as much damage as he can, as a few probes do fall. This is just SiFu bringing it on as much as possible. Here comes the warp cycle yet again with some stalkers. Desperation though in order. Ensure the Nidus Worm will fall, but at the same time, SiFu still has enough units to defend this one and more. 74 army compared to 19. The only thing trying to get damage on is going to be that Void Ray. Shield Battery though will be online. SiFu backing on out, waiting for more of the swarm. And here comes the second Nidus Worm bringing in the reinforcements. This is going to be a scary army, looking even scarier. And I do believe that this is it. Pobbes is only a quarter of the army count so far. +1 is already online. SiFu looking to destroy every single wall that Pobbes has built on. Now tear down this wall, Mr. Pobbes. Tear down this wall, because SiFu is here to unite all the fronts of Everdream so far. Really goes to show though that it has been Pobbes on the back foot, and sure, he was able to survive, but survival is only one part of the equation. It has to be you coming on back, and SiFu never relenting. It was just completely dominant from our Zerg so far, and the aggression not stopping as soon as the Nidus Network was ready to go. Positioning was key for SiFu. Wasn't enough of a response there from Pobbes in time, not enough the army, and with the instant transport, it's just so easy for that big bulk to get on to the other base. There you go, guys. Victory for SiFu. Pretty dominant to say the least, and I love the way he went about things with that third. Looking to hide it, looking to make sure that it can be pretty surprising to say the least, as we are going to be getting into game number 2, though. Question is, how will Pobbes turn it around? Always a chance, though. It is a best of 3, as we keep saying. And in a matchup like this, we did see a lot of guts from Pobbes. He was able to defend, he was able to hold on to that Void Ray, go for the harassment. Unfortunate though, with the later units, it just wasn't enough, and he couldn't get enough damage done. The Oracle got like 5 drone kills, but it didn't matter to SiFu at all. He just shrugged it off very simply. He said that, okay, you're gonna do that, but at the same time, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go for Nidus. I'm gonna get a good drone count. And I'm even gonna bring in my queens just to finish this game off. So it just goes to show that SiFu there understanding how much of a lead he had against his opponent. And that's the thing about the Masters Plus bracket, right? I keep telling you guys, here in Masters Plus, that every single person that notices a mistake that you do, every single advantage that you can press, they will take it. But now we are gonna get into a different map. And the Eternal Empire might have a little bit more of room to wiggle around with those mistakes. Bigger map right now. Might be more on the macro intensivity from both sides. Question is though, who's better on that macro? We've seen SiFu do wonders with his macro. Pobbes in the meantime. Gonna be interesting because even though he had some proper builds here and there, he still needs to react in time. So for our Protoss, it's all about those answers. It's all about making sure that he can survive in such a good way. Not only surviving, barely breathing, but surviving with your body just basically standing tall and standing proud. In any case, though, here we go again. Time to get into our next game as we get into Eternal Empire. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and here we go again. This is still the PvZ between Pobbes and SiFu, and this is your second match out of 3 here from the Masters Plus bracket. We'll have one more game, one more match after this one, so you want to stay tuned all the way till we end off this night. And it's been very amazing to see all the support here for the Quarantine Tournament. It's great to see some new faces. And as we said, guys, if you haven't been featured, then of course, we'll look to give you priority in the next round if you can make it there. But enough about that. Introducing first, here on the top right, of Eternal Empire. It is your Green Zerg looking to play it on, looking to be on match point, and looking to win it out to move on to the next round. His name is the mentor himself, SiFu. And his opponents here on the bottom left instead, he's on that purple Protoss. He's looking pretty pog with whatever he's been trying to do. But style points is not enough. He needs to survive and he needs to hold. Can he actually go for the reverse sweep? If anyone can do it, it can be this guy. He's on that purple Protoss, and his name is Pobbes. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. PvZ action yet again on Eternal Empire. From what we saw though earlier on, that for SiFu, if he's able to play that aggro, he will take it and more. And you can see that it's one of his favorite things to do. He goes for the pull first here and now. He's going to be, at the very least, looking to make sure that he can keep his aggression up. And with the Extractor into play as well, this can be a potential bailingness if he wants to go for the bust. But for SiFu, he just wants to make sure his opponent is always on his toes. And he takes every single opportunity he can get, every little small detail he can nibble on, and every single probe kill he can actually take with those Zerglings to get-go. Still though, there is also 1 point of going for the pull first. He can go for the earlier Queen, and in a case like this, more Spawn Larva, more creep spread. SiFu though, looking to get his second base up and running. And what's the plan here for Pobbes? Nexus is out, and he gets the 1 gate, 1 core yet again. So far, so good. It is going to be time here for Pobbes though. Gonna boost out the Adept. So shades of the last game, and it will be Pobbes doing the same old thing. Stargate opening here from Mr. Pobbes. Question is though, what's the plan with the Adept? Will he actually decide to continue with playing the Adepts, go for the Mass Phoenix instead? Or will he just use the Oracle Harassment to try and bother his opponent, force out the anti-air, and buy time for the Protoss to survive? In this case though, this game is looking pretty solid to say the least. I'm feeling pretty happy to see this kind of matchup. It really feels like that, anything can happen in this set no matter what. And whoever wins this will move on to the next round. Whoever loses still gonna go down to the lower brackets. In a case like this though, it's again gonna be the Void Ray here for Pobbes. So it's an interesting call to start things off with the Void Ray. Usually see either the Phoenix to go for the hunt against the Overlords, or you get the Oracle instead to hunt for the drones. When you go for the Void Ray opening itself, you're anticipating aggression of the armored kind. And while I understand the fear from the first game, I really don't agree with what Pobbes is doing right now. Still though, seems like we did see a potential Roach Warren there, but it just didn't pan out for SiFu for a little bit. Might just be the response there with the Void Ray itself. And it's gonna be the Queen popping on that. Third hatchery gonna be online. Carapace is there as well. And I like this for SiFu. Good scouting, good movement speed onto the Overlords. And speaking of that one, it's this Void Ray being a big bother. Now, the Void Ray itself is a slower unit compared to the other units we've listed from the Stargate. And in a case like this, if you get Carapace, you can actually see Overlords try to outrun Void Rays and prevent them to get that maximum amount of damage. Spore Crawler though gonna be going online. And feels like for SiFu right now is as soon as he gets a big number of these drones, we're gonna see him go for a lot of links on the ground and go for Banes. Can go for the Spire, but now he's feeling confident to go for the Roach Warren instead. Needs to make sure that he's gonna have the ground base composition that he needs. Still though, the Carapace is not gonna be enough against the fully charged prismatic alignment there from the Void Ray. And Pobbes trying to give chase, and unfortunately SiFu has no real answer to try and lure that one down. So for now, this is Pobbes giving him a good zone of safety. He's able to set up a 3-base setup, and for the time being, SiFu doesn't feel too scared about any kind of aggression. He's gonna go for 3 bases instead. But every single time we see Overlords pop in the air, this does force our Zerg to go for a cycle of Overlords into the, into the skies from those eggs. Can't go for drones, can't go for units, slowing down the means of production of the Zerg overall. Still though, Oracle scouting on the round. Overlord spotted out. And here we go with the Void Ray trying to give chase. Eventually though, SiFu will say, enough is enough. Can't even outrun a Void Ray there. And think about the Void Ray, it even faster if you get a Fleet Beacon with the upgrade itself. But as we say that, SiFu is just taking this to his sweet time to expand. He knows his opponent is busy looking to go for his own expansions. Pobbes wants to go for a macro, wants to prove that he can go for a big army here. And with all of this happening, SiFu is just happy to say, I will go for the one base setup. I will go for the one base ahead of you as much as possible. And with the upcoming fourth base, I really like how SiFu is having all of his economy being the priority here. A far cry from what we've seen so far on the aggression that he's been taking into the Master Plus brackets. Still though, for the time being, Warp Prism going to be online here for Pobbes. And it's better late than never, right? If he is going to go for harassment, and if SiFu is caught overexpanding, over-droning, then it still can work out here for Pobbes with Flower. Still though, we are coming to that point where upgrades are going to be going online. +1 onto both melee and range. It's pretty interesting here for SiFu. So it's going to be Lings and Roaches together. Usually we see a heavy burst of Roaches instead, trying to get that Carapace to make them tankier. For now, SiFu will be at the very least looking to harass and bring in a big bulk of units if need be. Queens though, going to be at the very least looking to get back in position. A lot of revelations here for SiFu. Hitting SiFu rather, as Pobbes trying to get that intel for the time being. Still the Overlord's going to be turning into Overseers, I believe. No, it's actually going to be... It's going to be Sacks. It's Sacks. That's interesting. So we are going to see Zergling drops here for the side of SiFu. He's going to be looking to drop these things down onto potentially that main base and catch his opponent off guard. For now, though, he's harassing that third base. And I like his here for SiFu. It's a bit of a bait and switch. He's saying, okay, I'm going to go for the pokes, and I see the adepts. I'm going to say, never mind, I'm not going to do it. Pobbes, though, he has no idea that this is coming. And here we go with another flood of these links. Seems like SiFu gonna be micro them in a way that they will go for a split push onto the third base, trying to go for a run on into the natural, but the force field gonna be there from the sentry. And while this is all happening, SiFu is gonna be bringing in a fully loaded Overlord of Zerglings as well to the main base. Drones though are already popping. These probes cannot survive against these links. The Zealot's going for the reinforcements, but here we go onto the main middle line instead. Storm gonna be the upgrade of choice here for Pobbes, but it might be a little too late against these Zerglings because this is gonna be pokes and prods here and there, forcing another warp cycle onto the defensive. And you can really see the pressure is on here for Pobbes. He wants to go for his own aggro play, but what SiFu is doing is harassing him, forcing him to go for his own warp cycle on his own base. And even though this does give Pobbes a good army, it's about that position. He wanted to do it with the Warp Prism. It's not happening whatsoever. There we go though with a brawl onto the ramp itself, and this is just going to be SiFu keeping the fight alive onto the offensive here by the natural ramp, and he's going to go for the push. Archon's still going to be into play. Question is though, will it be enough? I love the force field though. Absolutely huge to split up this army so far, and this does give Pobbes a fighting chance. Question is though, can he still stay on? There we go with the Ravagers hitting that Val down, and sure, it burst down his own unit, but it doesn't matter for the time being. Void Raid though gonna be into play. There we go with the Protoss finally fending this one off. SiFu has been very careful, but he can go for the turnabout against some of these Zealots here and now. There you go with the poke and the prod. Zealots will go down. Archon saying it's time to retreat, and SiFu is back in action. The pressure is absolutely on, and you can really see for SiFu, he's unrelenting on every single angle that he can take. There we go with the pylons again, getting busted on down. Hooks are also going to be into play, and I love this from SiFu. He's not only going for the Baneling Nest, he's also going for the Spire, and he's making sure that he will have every single tool he can use to counter his opponent. Stasis Ward though, at the very least, going for a little bit of the trap, and here we go again. It seems like these guys are on display, but unfortunately, you can't refresh the duration like that. Stasis Ward only works once, and you have to do it again as soon as these guys are ready to go. There is no perma-stun here in StarCraft so far, but here we go again with the defense, and Pobbes surviving yet again. You know, this has been very commendable from Pobbes. From the get-go, he has shown true grit. He has shown that he can always try to defend. But the problem right now is without any aggression here from Protoss. It feels like it's just going to be wave after wave after wave of units here from their Zerg. And, well, SiFu, he's happy about this. He's almost at the 200 mark, 110 army to 69 workers. You can really see the focus for SiFu is looking to end this game on a high note. And with the Zerglings out in front, they are going to pick off a few Zealots there. Pobbes in the meantime staying on the high ground. But the army disparity is getting scarier and scarier. And while we see some Overlord drop here now, it's time for the Mutas to also come into play. A big flock of bats are waiting in the wings. And speaking of the wings right now, they're fluttering up in the air. SiFu in the meantime though with the Roaches and the Ravagers going for the push yet again. And it's such a good mix and match of army units. An interesting call here for SiFu to have so many different units at so many times. It really goes to show he's trying to just get the variety of the Zerg swarm here. But as I say that, it's SiFu right now, just circumnavigating yet again on the third base we go, harassing onto natural, poking from another side. This is just a SiFu way, and he is just on it like a bucket. He's trying to keep on with the pressure. He wants to get rid of Nexus Point here and now, shut down this potential third base, and he will be able to get this one done and dusted. Retreat though gonna be in order. The Archons and the Immortals packing quite a big punch, but at the same time, we will see the Zealots be able to go for the infiltration, and this is what we're talking about from Pobbes. But unfortunately for him, SiFu is getting the mutants to get all the DPS it can and more. 39 workers right now to 54, and it's still gonna be damage on both fronts. SiFu though keeping alive against the Stalkers. He is gonna retreat though to get that rapid regeneration on. And while this is all happening, SiFu has to defend. Both sides taking some hits against each other. We can really see our Zerg is way ahead by this point. SiFu, oh SiFu. Still all about having all the units he can have. And with the +2 going online, he even has the Hydrogen. I think the SiFu's plan right now, guys, is to be able to press every single button you can do on Spawn Larva. Which is pretty funny if you think about it. But hey, as the Roaches are looking to go online soon, here we go again with a push with the Roaches and the Ravagers onto that ramp. Now, Pobbes has been using this natural funnel to help him out as much as possible, especially with the force fields and keeping the Immortals alive. It's still not gonna be enough. And by this point in time, Pobbes has decided, okay, enough is enough. I cannot defend this properly. There's just way too much harassment, and I'm gonna go for the push. And then he says, never mind, I was just kidding, guys. I need this army to try and defend. I need this mineral line, and it's just not happening. The hesitation hurting Pobbes in the end. He cannot defend, he cannot attack. He is stuck in a limbo state, and SiFu is just going for his own limbo dance. He's just going for the bar. He's raising it as much as possible, and he's keeping on the pressure no matter what. Have we gotten another great Zerg into the bracket? It seems like SiFu is looking to make a case for himself and more, as we have seen the likes of Nux and Ender to basically dominate these brackets. But we are seeing a new challenger on the horizon, and SiFu is unrelenting with these mutas. He's getting his upgrades online. Pobbes, in the meantime, is just gonna decide, okay, screw it, we're going for it. Archons Immortals in behind, but this is looking to be an absolute pit. That's the Archon will fall down. GG is called, and SiFu will move on to the upper bracket. Pobbes putting up a fight, but it's not enough, and he will go down to the lower bracket instead. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Victory for SiFu again. And, you know, it's the second time being on broadcast. Good efforts, though, from Pobbes overall. But in the end, it was just SiFu being a step ahead of his opponent every single time. All of the things SiFu did, I can list them down, were ridiculous. Those extra bases, the Roaches, and the Zerglings with the Ravagers. The Zergling drops, the Baneling tech to scare off his opponent, the Mutalist block. It's just ridiculous how many options SiFu was able to make for himself. And that was just because of how he played that one out. Harassed his opponent enough in that previous game, made sure that his opponent itself was getting the wrong intel, and then turned it into an insurmountable lead. And Pobbes needed to do those Zealot pushes a lot earlier than that. It was a good call to go for the slice and dice, of course, onto the 4th and the 3rd, especially when SiFu was on the attack. But it really goes to show, if they don't stop that economy from the Zerg, they can just get even richer. And it's all about that quantity. It's all about getting reinforcements as quick as can be. And you're not trading evenly whatsoever. Protoss units are more on the quality and the cost side. And in terms of production, it takes a lot longer. And you can really see that harassment there on the 3rd base, slowing down the economy, making sure that Pobbes could not keep up on the armor counts. And that is that for a win. SiFu will move on, as we say, looking mighty impressive into this bracket. Question is, though, how will he fare against the two great Zergs? That's one question we might be able to answer soon into the next round. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. SiFu gonna be able to get 2-0 there against Pobbes. Pobbes gonna get back to the drawing board. Really gotta commend him, though, for coming on back. He's been competing here, there, and everywhere against many in the community, and here in the quarantine tournament number 5. So a little bit more for Pobbes, and we might see him back to form. And that's really the beauty of it. When we have these players who are coming on back into StarCraft 2, into the quarantine setup, then they can take their sweet time to get better and better. They can take their sweet time to see where they belong, and at the very least, look to see the greatness they had within them once. It's not about being washed, guys. It's just about picking up the game yet again. But SiFu with a 2-0. That will be the end of that match. And when we come back, we'll be getting into our last one. And we will save our golden boy for last. It's gonna be a TVZ this time, and we will feature Phoenix versus Ender. You might think you know the end of this story, but you gotta tune on in to see how it unfolds. We'll be right back, guys. This is the Quarantine Tournament number 5, brought to you, of course, by Block 101 and Pure PC, presented to you by DLS Mizzle, Iceboyhead Productions, and Daks PH.